Thomas Edward Silverstein, born February 4th, 1950. He was an American criminal who spent the past 42 years of his life in prison after being convicted of 4 separate murders while serving a robbery charge, one of which was overturned. Silverstein spent the last 36 years of his life in solitary confinement, killing Correction Officer Merrill Klutz at the Marion USP in Marion, Illinois. Prison authorities described him as a brutal killer, a former leader of the prison gang, the Aryan Brotherhood. Silverstein maintained that the dehumanizing conditions inside the prison system contributed to the 3 murders he committed, and he was held in the specifically designed cell called Range 13 at the ADX Federal Penitentiary in Colorado. He was the longest prisoner in solitary confinement within the Bureau of Prisons at the time of his death. Thomas Silverstein was born in Long Beach, California, to Virginia Conway, and Conway had divorced her first husband in 1952. Pregnant with Silverstein, she married Thomas Conway. Silverstein was his biological father, but divorced Conway and married Sid Silverstein, who legally adopted her son, Tommy, who was an awkward, shy, and frequently bullied child in the neighborhood, and a part of his peers mistakenly believed he was Jewish. His mother demanded that Tommy fight back, telling the boy that if he ever came home again crying because he had been beaten up by a bully, she would be waiting to give him another beating. She would come at you with a bat and tell you to go get some. Silverstein was sentenced to the California Youth Authority Reformatory, where he said his attitude about violence was reinforced. To not fight means to be abused. In 1971, he was sent to California prison San Quentin for robbery. Years later, he was paroled but was arrested soon after with his father Thomas Conway and his cousin Gerald Hall with 3 armed robberies. They only got $11,000 in 1977. Silverstein was sentenced to 15 years, which was to be served at the United States Penitentiary Leavenworth in Kansas. During his time in Leavenworth, he started to develop into being the leader he was as a brand member, being so respected coming from the race wars in California prisons, hitting the hardest yards and stayed solid. He carried out his first murder in the federal prison by killing an inmate, Danny Atwell. Danny had been getting pressure to have his girlfriend bring heroin through the visiting room, but she kept refusing, among other issues Tommy had with him. Tommy ended up stabbing him, and he got life without parole. Preacher and Snell assisted him on this hit, but they were eventually overturned as the witnesses to the murder were not deemed credible, but they still had a spot for him in Marion USP. The control unit was a prison within a prison, where the federal system sent the worst of the worst with behavioral issues. In 1981, Silverstein killed Robert Chappelle, a black man from Connecticut. Now, Chappelle was causing all types of shit on the yard. He was a cell soldier and even put his hands on Kendall Vargas of the MA. Eventually, Robert Chappelle assaulted a cop. So guess where they sent him? That's right. You win an all-inclusive spot in the control unit with your best friends, and they'll all be happy to see you. Well, Champ Reynoso saw him, Tommy saw him, and John saw him. There was a deal struck with Champ and Tommy. They both wanted to take Chappelle out, and that's exactly what Tommy did. He got on him and he stabbed him 36 plus times, and that's all she wrote for Mr. Chappelle. Corey Fowler from Miami was also like Chappelle, causing problems and revving his brothers up, but he won't do anything himself. There was a guy known as T back in the control unit, and Corey, he was egging him on. As soon as Cadillac from DC showed up, he brought Mr. Smith and Mr. T into the fold, so to speak. This immediately stirred the tension as soon as Cadillac landed, as he was threatening to kill Tommy due to Corey Fowler. Tommy told Chappelle he didn't want any problems, but it fell upon deaf ears. Cadillac was bragging. He was going to kill Tommy, and the guards knew what was going on. Cadillac tried to stab Tommy through the bars on D-range. They should have separated these men then. Tommy and Clayton Fountain killed Smith, stabbing him 67 times and drug his corpse up and down the tier for everyone to send a message. How they got out of the wreck cage. They slowly cut and covered the wires with coffee to hide what they were doing. When Cadillac one day was going to the shower, that's when they broke out and got him. Cadillac fought like a warrior, but there's not much you can do when two guys got weapons and they're both on you. And they have 4-inch plus knives. Also, the contrary belief, Cadillac was not handcuffed and he did not have a knife. He tried to get into the shower, but they got him before he could get in and lock it. The guard was screaming for him to run to the shower. He tried to get there, but it was far too late. As he was grunting in pain, he still fought till the final breath. There was so much blood from the body, it was actually really hard for them to drag the body up and down the tier as it kept slipping out of their hands. Now, on a side note, Tommy had actually accidentally hit Clay during the event. Kind of like how Barry was stabbed in the ass in San Quentin during one of his hits. On October 22nd, 1983, Tommy was at it again. This time it was a CO, Merrill Klutz. There was ongoing tension between him and Tommy, and according to John Greshner, former commissioner of the brand in the federal prison system, sitting at the top of the commission with Barry Mills and T.D. Bingham, he said that Klutz had taken things from Tommy, stuff like colored pencils, popping his cell door, stepping on his personal pictures and property, denying him rec, along with other disrespect. It had turned into a personal trip, and the cops and comics don't get personal. They know better, and this is why. John Greshner said he tried to talk Tommy down 3, 4, 5 times, and he did, but he was transferred to Leavenworth fighting his own murder case. He said, "Don't trip, brother. Wait 6 months. I'll be back. I have to take care of something, but I'll be back to help you get you out of this place." John had a good rapport with Klutz. He gave him the white barber job, so John tried to calm everything down. In a way, he did. But when he left, Klutz went back and forth to fucking with Tommy, and Tommy did what Tommy does. On the day of the hit, they had it planned out. Tommy's friend, Randy Gomez, hid a knife and a handcuff key in his cell. While Klutz was escorting Tommy with 2 other guards to a shower, he asked to holler at Gomez. He had been able to get Klutz in front of him and the other 2 guards to drop back. He went to Gomez's cell to grab the bone crusher out of Randy's waistband, and simultaneously Randy unlocked Tommy's cuffs. He turned around and he just got on and butchered Klutz, man. The word got around. His old friend Clayton Fountain did the same thing to another SEAL, Robert Hoffman. Clayton was on C range, and the reason he did this was because he was hearing rumors the SEALs were looking for retribution and were going to hit other band members to get even. And they knew Tommy and Clay were very close. After Clay killed Hoffman, he went to the doors where the other guards were, and he said to his son, because Hoffman's son was a guard, "Hey man, come out here. I've never had a father-son kill combo before." Needless to say, the guards didn't want to come out. Due to these actions, this started a 23-year lockdown at Marion USP. Tommy was sent to the SHU in Atlanta, and he was in solitary confinement with 36 years total of isolation with special cells made for him, where the lights were never turned off and he was being recorded on all camera angles 24/7. Now, while Tommy was in Atlanta, the Cuban riot had kicked off, and this gave him a chance to get out of solitary confinement. When he got out, the BOP wanted him so bad that they struck a deal with the Cubans. "Give us Tommy and we'll negotiate with you." Well, Tommy was walking around and told them he didn't want any problems enjoying himself. Found a bottle of tequila and was just walking the yard. Cubans came up to him and said, "Hey man, let me holler at you. Come party with us." They slipped some sleeping pills into Tommy's drink. When Tommy was woozy and falling asleep, they brought him to the FBI. The FBI overlords transferred him to USP Leavenworth for 18 years with no human contact. After the USP Leavenworth was downgraded to a medium facility, he was transferred in 2005 to the ADX. May 2019, after spending 36 years alone with no human contact and isolation, where they never turned the lights off, he died. When Tommy died, the guards at the ADX all clapped and cheered. He died from complications on C range and D unit in the ADX. Rest in peace.